Hi again. Thank you for joining me on my channel. I'm Lottie, and everything here is made with a Lottie love. Cheesy, I know, but that's me. Thank you to all my subscribers recently, and a huge shout out to the Posh Paper Lady, who really has just shown me how wonderful this crafting community is. So a big thank you to all of you. It is a beautiful sunny day here in Wales. And I am going to take my little girl for a walk later and enjoy the beautiful scenery. Before I do that, I've got something that I think you're really going to like, and I'd love to show you that. So join me. We are going to get crafting. So while I was making this little beauty, which was inspired by Natasha from Treasure Books, I will link her video for that in the description. It occurred to me that that would actually be a really good space for putting something in practically. So yes, it's a beautiful journal or insert for journal or whatever it is. But when I was looking at it, I thought, aha, I think I've got a plan for that. This is how easy it is to make. So I've just got a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, double-sided, and I'm going to fold that in half and just press that center and not fold across. And I'm going to bring this into center and just gently pushing that down like so, flipping it round, bringing that to the center. So that's the thing. So we're going to follow those dots, which is helpful, to the top there, and just folding that down. Give that a bit of a score. And then folding that over to meet the top corner, and just gently pressing that down. Make sure, yep, look, perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but it's, I don't believe in perfect. Things shouldn't be perfect anyway. And pressing that down again. And that's it. Okay, now we can glue this down. So it's just a case of having a line of glue down that center line there. And then again down this center line here. These dots are very helpful for trying to keep things straight. And then gluing that down. Now the only difference for me is, and it's the same for the tutorial from Natasha from Treasure Books, is that I'm going to sew that with my sewing machine. Now again, anyone panicking, if you're using a sewing machine to sew card, it's not going to break your needle. But if you're then going to sew fabric, I recommend obviously changing your needle. But if you're also like me and don't throw anything away, those blunt needles that you have from your sewing adventures, they are perfect to use in place of your nice needles. to sew your cardstock. But again, this is fine, just glued. I guess you could use double-sided tape, you could use runner tape, whatever you fancy. But that is quite literally it for ease of making the little folder. So then I'm going to bring in my shapes and frames die cut book, and I'm going to find my circles, which obviously I know where I put them, so that was really quick to find. And so the idea being that's going to fold over the wrong way, and I'm probably going to glue that. This is then going to go over the top, and there's going to be a circle catch there, and then the embossed piece of card is going to go on top of there. So you're going to know what's in your little file, both sides, and you're going to have a little circle which you can unhinge and release. Now there's quite a few folders for me to emboss, lots and lots of them. I love this one, but with the cardstock that was left over from this embossing, I'm going to make a circle and stick it on. Over time this will get worn, so it might be worth adding an extra triangle of card on the back of this just to kind of reinforce that. But this is going to be stuck on with 3D tape or squares or little pads, whatever you've got, and that will then be able to flick in and out quite easily, and it just keeps things together and not flopping open when you open your file. So this is an overly thick card, so I could probably get away with doing 2 at once, which is always super handy. Trim that down. How many? I could probably do 4. Or should we risk 4? See what happens. We shall risk it, and if it doesn't work, then I'll know not to risk it again. So there's my folder, and this is a well-loved folder. I do need to buy some more, and they're not overly expensive, but again, I cannot throw things away. So let's see, run it through and back again. I don't even know if you need to run it back again, but I always do. Okay, let's have a look. Did it work? No, it did 3. So good to know for future reference. I can cut 3. Lovely. And then the 4th one was a no-go, but that could be an embossed thing for another day. I really need to learn to just let things go. But yeah, so any scraps that are left from your embossing folders, use to make your little circle attachments. And so now to make the folder holder, this is, you're going to need some premium wrapping paper. This is premium wrapping paper. It's got all these beautiful little gold details. I'll link that into the description below. And you are going to need some cardstock. I've just got this Amazon packaging. I reuse all of the packaging really. In fact, again, it's another it's another fire hazard of mine, because I just seem to have boxes and boxes of them. So we're going to make the outside of the embossing folder holders with this packaging, some premium paper or cardstock, whatever you fancy, elastic to keep the folders in place, and I think I'm going to use just a scrap of card to kind of reinforce the base of this as well, but I'll get to that in a minute. To get started, I am going to cut down the sides of this box. So I'm going to use my rotary blade instead to just cut down the sides. It will just be a lot easier than hashing it up with the scissors. A craft knife will work just as well. And again on the other side. Now, I guess I better tell you the size of this actually. So this packaging was, 12 by 9 inches this was. So I think I'm going to just trim off, first of all, I'm going to just trim off the top of the box. And then I am going to trim this down to 7.5. And that's that. And then I'm going to get a scoring tool, and I am going to put the already folded centre line on the 2-inch mark, and I'm going to score at 4. Score at 4. Love it. Score at 4. And again, I'm going to turn that round. Centre line on the 2. Straight. Score at 4. And I'm just going to give that a good fold over and a bit of a Press. And then we have the outside. Now that is the reason I've said I'm going to add some cardstock to reinforce that, because it will stop the extra bend. So I've just got another piece of scrap card. And I've got cats. Actually, that's 7.5. It's just under 7.5, which would fit nicely on the spine. So where that cut is anyway, I'm just going to trim off the excess. Now, you don't have to use scrap card, you could use chipboard, whatever you've got to hand, really. I just like to reuse what I've stored. I like to reuse and recycle. And then we're going to just glue that down, and it will help keep that sturdy. And I might put a little piece of scrap card on, not as thick, piece of scrap on the back there as well. So use double-sided tape for this one. There's always one. There is always one. And stick that down onto there. And see if I've got a piece of scrap. So I've found my outer empty shell, and I'm just going to use that to reinforce the other side. It's thick, but it's not too thick. I don't need the whole lot, so I'll just cut up to... That's a nice helpful line to have to follow. There we go. And then just 7.5. And then we're just going to tape that down or glue it. Got a real thing for double-sided tape at the minute. I've got huge amounts of glue supply. I just am finding double-sided tape a bit easier to work with, and I guess it's dry instantly, so then I don't have to mess around, but there will be glue involved in a minute. I'm just sticking that down on the back there. And we've got a pretty sturdy base. Now, I have 12 inserts like this, and I am going to use elastic to keep them in, because you can always transfer them out if you've got ones that you don't really like to use anymore. You can just whip it out, put a new one in, and that's the idea anyway. So there's 12 of them. I'm going to double elastic each one, so I'm going to need 6 holes. So it's a 4-inch spine, as you know. I'm going to try and get the elastic kind of close to the top, but it doesn't have to be I don't know if I use this as a guide. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so we want the books to kind of sit here. So we want the elastic to be here. Squeeze that. Okay, so it's a 4-inch spine, and I'm going to leave about, oh no, 3/4 of an inch in so that there's room for manoeuvre. So let's do 3/4. No, that's half. My measuring skills are fantastic, honestly. So that is 3/4 of an inch in each side. One hole here, and then 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. Makes your 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll do it again on the other side. So we want 3/4 of an inch in. Oh, hold on. I want to just check where the elastic's going to sit. So about here. So again, it's 3/4 of an inch, and we want 3/4 of an inch on the other side, and then we want 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and that's your 6. And just under there, you're going to make another set of holes. So just eyeballing it really. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And I'm not even going to use my ruler here. There we go. So you want to make 2 holes on each end, and I'm just going to use my little tweezers again, my trusty tweezers. I don't know what I'd do if I lost these. That bit, and I better not have jinxed that. We're just piercing through, being careful on the other side. And I'm going to just use that to kind of widen those holes, because I'm going to have to get elastic through these. And then once you've done that, you're going to bring in a piece of cardstock, and you're going to cut a 5-inch strip. By 7.5. 7.5. And you're going to glue that on top of there and re-poke the holes through this layer. So I've just got some school glue, PVA glue, whatever you have to hand. Tacky glue would work. You could again use double-sided tape, and a nice generous amount all over the top. And I'm very sensory. I enjoy this, so I'm just going to smear that down. You don't have to do that. And just sticking that over there like so. And just finding that line. Gonna find that fold line and just run a quick score over that so that it folds nicely and doesn't tear the paper. or cardstock. So and just giving that a bit of a back and forth. And again, it wasn't fully dry, so I got impatient. So once it's dry, that won't happen. But there we go. So then flipping that over and re-poking the holes through that cardstock. So now you're going to make these elastic holders for your folders. I don't know why I keep finding that so funny. So I've got a needle here, but a big FYI, elastic doesn't seem to like to go through the head of the needle. So my top tip is to get a piece of sellotape and just fold that round and make a nice flat, well, just a flat piece. And then you thread that through the needle, give it a good tug, and there it's threaded. It honestly took me forever to work that out. So you want the length of from one hole to another, and about just over half. And what we're going to do is we are going to feed it in through the bottom hole and leave a little tail, in through the second bottom hole, in through the very top, back in, it's hard to do this on camera, back in the second top hole, then down through to the bottom hole, and I'm going to turn that over, make a knot, so holding on to the tail from the other end. Like that. Put that round. Again, the tape, just to do this little tiny bit. But you'll thank me later. And that through, take off the tape, give it a good stretch, and you're going to put that tail back through to that side, and then you are going to just make a good knot. Double knot. And just trim off any excess. And so as you can see, I've got, it doesn't matter which way you start. This is all going to be covered up anyway, so that's fine. And then you're going to secure it. Sorry if that offended anybody's ears. With some tape. going to cover up the holes I haven't done yet. And just continue, and you're going to have enough for 12 insets. And so now you've done all of those, you can flip this over, make sure it's all secured down with as much tape as you like, and then you are going to get your premium wrapping paper or cardstock or wallpaper, whatever you want to use. So I just want to trim this down because it's huge. Okay, so I will straighten that out later. So for now, I want to glue that onto the paper. So I'm just going to get, again, my PVA glue or school glue, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to put a generous amount. And we're going to lay this as flat as we can. Okay, so I take it back. This isn't the wrapping paper isn't quite as premium as I thought it was. So I'll link it in, but I don't thoroughly recommend this because this is 3 layers and it's wrinkly. But this is only for me, and I'm going to brayer this down and hopefully rectify some of it. But I am planning on designing on the front of it, so it doesn't actually matter. Again, I'm just going to put a score line down the spine so that it doesn't tear the already wrinkled paper. Okay, and now the tip that I got from the Posh Paper Lady, the lovely Sherry, is to, I believe she calls it mitering. So with a craft knife, you are just going to cut the corners. And there's quite a lot of excess up here that I had from adding more layers. So I've got 3 layers of wrapping paper on that book now, but it's fine. So I'm gonna trim this down as well, just so I don't have all of this excess. And I might get a little ruler. And because the wrapping paper is thinner, I can just use my craft knife rather than the rotary blade I had earlier. And again, just cutting off the corner really does the job. So again, just cutting off that corner because I had forgotten this one. I'm going to use the glue. So now just doing back of that, folding that over and down. Let's see, that was my extra layer of wrapping paper, so I'll stick that down too. And I'll flip it over and glue the other side. Oops. And a nice layer of glue down on this one. And as it's a longer piece, just a little bit of delicate handling here. Now, I will explain why I haven't stuck that down properly on the spine in a minute. And so with my craft knife, wherever I put it, I'm just going to trim off there and there. That might need my paperweight. It's on there, but it's not covering anything to do with the elastic. Again, just a tiny trim off there. I'm gluing that down. Now this is going to be hidden by the folders anyway. And then we want another sheet of cardstock. Got an A4 piece here, and I want 7 7¼ by 9. Twice. So 7¼ Oh, hold on. Sorry, I went the long way first. 7¼ by 9. And these little babies are for my scrap supply. Or kindling, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to bring back in the file. We're going to put lashings of glue on the back. If anyone has any recommendations for glues that don't warp paper, I would be very interested in hearing your thoughts. And we're going to pop that over and then again on the other side. And I'm just going to leave that to dry under some heavy books, so my study books come in handy. And now it's simply a case of putting the files inside. So you're going to pick up one elastic first string and hook that in and reattach. These are spares, so they're empty. And there we have it. Your embossing folder holder. And it can just sit on a shelf like that. I'm wondering if I should put a closure on here. It would quite happily just sit on my shelf like that. I'll put a label on the spine even to say what it is, although I know what it is. I'd say that's pretty much it. Done. So I'm not entirely sure why the camera didn't film this bit, but I've already pierced a hole in the middle. So I did decide to make a closure on camera for you guys. So I've pierced a hole, I've threaded the remainder of that elastic through the centre, and I've made a few knots, 3 or 4 knots I think, to keep it secure. And I found this paper bead that I made a long time ago, and I am trying to feed the elastic through this bead with very little success. It's very fiddly, so I have decided to use a needle. I'm just going to check that it's going to fit through that bead, which it looks like it will do. Lovely. And then I am going to do the tape trick, so getting a little bit of sellotape onto the end of that elastic, flatten that down and thread the needle with that. And so now I'm just going to pop that through the bead, pulling that through, lovely, and tying that. So the ends of the elastic was what went through the hole in the center, and then the elastic that's still joined, if you like, it's going to make the closure. And it's just a little anchor really to keep the elastic where it should be. Now you can tape that down, you could make another hole and tie that, but I'm just going to leave that loose and hanging, again because it's mine. I don't mind it being loose and hanging free. So I'm going to wrap the elastic around 3 times. So it's 1, 2, and then the third is where the closure will be. And now I'm going to tape the elastic in place once I've unwrapped it. And here is the blue Peter moment of what I made earlier. Again, I pressed the fast recording rather than record, so I made it really fast for you guys, but that's fine, otherwise we could be here forever. So I'm just taking this tape off. I'm just going to make sure that it's really securely stuck down with lots of tape. There we go, and I'm just going to place that, make sure the elastic's tight, place that onto the top of the elastic and your folder, and there's a extra piece there that I need to trim off. I was debating whether to fold that over, but no, we are going to cut it, and that is going to be covered by the label that I've made, the embossing folder label with my Cricut machine. You get the size of that spine, it's brilliant. I will put that for public view, so you could, if you're an Access user, use it for free, but you can always change fonts and things to make sure that it's free for you if you're not a subscriber. And yes, I'll see if I can make it available to everybody. And so I had the Cricut write the label and had it cut the card and then a backing for that as well. And I just stuck that together with tape, double-sided tape, and then secured it so that it makes sure that the hole is now covered for the closure. I've also got another tutorial for making your labels with Cricut Design Space, which I will link above. And then I'm wrapping around the elastic and securing it in place with the Embossed Folders label, which is stuck on with 3D tape. Now, this elastic being over the top may offend some people, so you can always place it underneath, and then you can secure that in place over the top like so. And so I just need to trim that little piece off, and there you have it. It's beautifully decorated, the closure is fine. The file has folded a little bit because of the extra push, but I quite like it. And here we go, we can have a little run through of the embossing folder again, just to show you how helpful and easy it is to have made it. So if you made it this far, I thank you very much for joining me. I am currently on holiday, but I promised I'd post, so I posted. Any ideas or anything for future Craft Your Craft spaces, please leave a comment, and I'll catch you soon. Bye!